the only odd feature for an apical cardiomyopathy, I would say, is the presence of tall R wave in V1. So biventricular hypertrophy would mean that this hypertrophy is probably not only apical, and it is likely to be more diffuse, involving both the ventricles. But a very good, take-home message here, which you should keep in mind. We'll move on to the next ECG, and the next ECG is, I think this is something which I have borrowed from Dr. Wellens' textbook, and I must thank Dr. Wellens for having taught us the ECGs. And this is a 12-lead ECG. Here are the limb leads and then the precordial leads. And what you see is there is a global SCT change. Every lead, any lead you see, there is some SC change or the other. And it's remarkable. So the question to you is, on this ECG, what do you think this is happening? Is it ECG suggestive of a left main stenosis, a proximal LAD stenosis, a circumflex stenosis, or this is something of a non-ST elevation myocardial infarction kind of a picture? And use your voting meters. We'll see at the back end if it's functioning or no. In the meantime, I'll ask Dr. Gupta to throw some light on this ECG.
Dr. Amit, I think this patient must have presented with chest pain. I do not know whether he's hemodynamically stable or not. But this ECG is showing what you have mentioned, that ECG is showing generalized depression and T-wave inversion. But only thing in this ECG, what one should see is the AVR. And AVR is showing an ST segment elevation as compared to the rest of the leads, and which is a very subtle sign, but very important sign. If there is an ST segment elevation, this patient is of acute coronary syndrome, and with ST segment elevation in AVR with generalized STT changes. So I feel that this patient, though many people will diagnose him as a case of NST-MI, but to me, this patient belongs to left main stenosis. There is a close differential diagnosis of proximal LAD stenosis, but in proximal LAD stenosis, normally we see ST segment elevation AVL also. So there isn't just an ST segment elevation in AVR. So it looks like it's a case of left main stenosis, and the patient should be immediately taken to a cath lab, or immediate angiography should be done, and the patient should be taken care of.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. Kajal, what's happening with the voting meters?
Sir, they are still working on it, sir. We'll have to carry on, sir.
All right, okay. So I think this is what is most important in this ECG, that has been already highlighted by Dr. Gupta, that here in this 12-lead ECG, if we see, most of the leads are showing ST depression. So lead 1 ST depression, 2 is showing ST depression, 3 is more or less neutral, but AVL is showing ST depression, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. So out of the 12 leads, almost 8-9 leads are showing ST depression. And which are the leads which showing ST elevation? V1 is showing some ST elevation. AVR is showing some ST elevation. So only AVR and V1 are showing ST elevation. Rest all the leads are showing ST depression. If we see the lead AVR and V1, we also see the ST elevation in lead AVR is more than the ST elevation in V1. So all AVR and V1, I think these are also been described as the orphan leads. We don't look at these leads so very common. I think the most pampered lead is lead 2. For any rhythm diagnosis, we look at lead 2. But I think AVR and V1 are important ECGs. in tachycardias also, because in tachycardias, it can clearly, the QRS voltage in V1 and AVR is small. When the QRS voltage is small, it allows you to see the P waves more better, the Bix's principle. So for all tachycardias, also look at V1 and AVR. In this patient where we want to diagnose ischemia, it is very important to look at these two leads where these are showing ST elevation. Now, AVR and V1 are very basal leads. Basal leads, V1 basal, AVR looking from the right side into the heart, and all the ischemic forces are driven towards AVR. That means that it is a very, very proximal occlusion of the coronary artery, and that proximal occlusion is in the left main artery itself. So a left main stenosis is what is going to give you a picture which might fool you as NSTEMI, because if you don't look at V1 and AVR, you will think that this is a NSTEMI. But look at V1 and AVR showing ST elevation, all other leads showing an ST depression, and you will rightly diagnose this as a left main stenosis.
Dr. Amit, we have got about 2 minutes to go.
All right. So, Kajal, you have to tell us when we should stop also.
Yes.
Because we have to take some questions also, if there are any.
Sir, we can carry on with the cases as of now, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have skipped one of the ECGs and I have gone to ECG number 9, and I am going to ask you the question on this ECG. It's again a 12 lead format, and it is showing this repetitive, non-sustained wide QRS tachycardia. So this wide QRS tachycardia, is this an idiopathic variety of a left ventricle outflow tract VT, or is it idiopathic right ventricle outflow tract VT, or this is in a patient with cardiomyopathy, non-ischemic cardiomyopathy and ventricular tachycardia, or you think that this patient would have underlying coronary artery disease, ischemia and VT. And since the voting meters are not working, I'll request Dr. Gupta to help us decipher the ECG.
Doctor, this patient has got non-sustained broad QRS tachycardia, and it is like a LBB type of tachycardia with normal X. So, and it's a monomorphic tachycardia. Again, the history is not there, and likely the patient should be a young patient who is having this sort of tachycardia with hemodynamically stable person, and because the pattern is like a left bundle branch block type of pattern, so this is coming from the right ventricle, and usually this sort of tachycardia will be seen in patient with idiopathic right ventricular outflow tract ventricular tachycardia. So it's not, there are no STT changes are seen anywhere with the normal beats, so it doesn't look like ischemic ventricular tachycardia. There are no other ECG changes which are suggestive of ischemic non-ischemic cardiomyopathy. So the likely diagnosis will be idiopathic RVOT-VT.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think a very good analysis that you have a wide QRS tachycardia. And again, I want you to, pattern recognition. When you have a wide QRS tachycardia, repetitive, monomorphic, non-sustained wide QRS tachycardia, LBBB morphology, inferior or a rightward axis, that means it's coming from a basal region, LBBB, that means coming from the right ventricle. This is a classic example of an idiopathic RVOT-VT, right ventricular outflow tract VT. And when you have this interspersed narrow normal QRSs, you should clearly look at this normal beats also. And yes, these QRSs are completely normal, not showing any evidence of any ischemia, old Q waves, LV hypertrophy, strain, nothing. So no evidence of non-ischemia or ischemia in the sinus beats, and in the sinus QRS complexes, everything is normal. Therefore, this is likely to be an idiopathic RVOT-VT. This is called a Gallagher phenomenon, repetitive non-sustained VT. And interestingly, the drug of choice in this patient is beta blocker. So again, it's a ventricular tachycardia, but the drug of choice is beta blocker. Sometimes even IV adenosine terminates the tachycardia. So you have to realize that idiopathic VT tend to occur in young people. So his echo would be completely normal. And idiopathic VT has a prognosis like an SVT. They are in young people, normal hearts, and no risk to life. This ventricular tachycardia cannot be life-threatening. It cannot cause sudden cardiac death. And they are treated by AV nodal blocking drugs. So this is treated by beta blocker. The fascicular VT I showed you, the first ECG, is treated by calcium channel blocker. And also important to realize that you can subject these patients to EP study and radio frequency ablation. RF ablation has more than 90% chance of curing these people completely and making them normal human beings. So I think this is idiopathic RVOT-VT. Look at this ECG pattern and remember that this is what is the most likely diagnosis. Dr. Kajal, do we have any time or should we take questions?
Sir, we can carry on, sir. We can carry on the cases, sir. I'll let you know, sir. We can carry on for 2-3 cases or more.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to show you this ECG, and unfortunately, Aditya has helped a lot in the preparation of this slides, and this is one of his patients. Unfortunately, he's not able to join us because of a power failure in Lucknow. And this again is a 12-lead ECG, 1, 2, 3 AVR, AVL, AVF, V1 to V3, V4, V5, V6. And the question to you on the ECG is that this shows a very low voltage QRS. This is a ventricular tachycardia, or is this a ventricular asystole? That there are no QRS complexes at all. And then what would all this be? Kajal, we don't have the voting meters also on, no?
No.
No, sir, we don't have.